Hello book lovers, my name is Kay. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about how to read more books. One thing that I have heard so much from people lately is that they are wanting to kind of step away from their time they're spending scrolling on social media or watching Netflix, and they're wanting to actually pick up books and read more. And I absolutely love that. I think that we are all super busy people that run busy lives in the year 2024. There is something that is just so relaxing about reading, but also that slows you down, in my opinion. I like the feeling of rest, and I feel that reading truly makes me very restful, and I just wanted to share some of my tips on how I read quite a bit of books every single year. Now, there are definitely people that read hundreds of books every single year, and I am not one of those people. My goal this year for 2024 is to read at least 60 books or 5 books a month. It is mid-January, and I actually just finished my 7th book this month, so I'm doing pretty good. But I am also a full-time work from home busy mom. I have a 4-month-old baby that stays at home with me all day, and I think we all just have these busy rhythms in our lives right now. And I just wanted to share with you some tips on how I manage to read more books within my busy life. My first tip is to always have a book on you, no matter where you are going. Even if you do not pick up your book and read at all, the fact that it is there and on you will encourage you and remind you that you are trying to work towards a reading goal. Whether that's a physical book, a Kindle book, there are lots of e-reader apps that you can download on your mobile device, or an audiobook. No matter what it is, just make sure you always have a book accessible to you. So if you have downtime at a doctor's office, or maybe you're waiting for an appointment, it is always just reassuring to know that you have a book on you and with you that you can pick up in any pockets of time that you may find. My next tip is to utilize other formats of books, whether that's audiobook, ebook, or physical book. Find what works for you. Some people find that they read way quicker on a Kindle. I am one of those people. I don't know if there's any science behind that, but I definitely read a lot faster when I'm utilizing my e-reader. Some people just love to listen to audiobooks, and yes, that does count as reading. I used to be so weird when it came to audiobooks. I felt like it was cheating, but now that I am a mom of a 4-month-old little boy, I pretty much have to have an audiobook to read with. So I use the audiobook and I read along on my Kindle at the same time, and I just love that. I get most of my audiobooks through my library or through Audible and Everand. Everand is like a monthly paid subscription where you can access tons of audiobooks in that library. I think it's like $10 a month. It's not too crazy. And as a reader, I have found that subscription as an absolute must because you can listen to multiple audiobooks a month. My next tip is not all that groundbreaking, but that is to read what genres interest you. If you love fantasy books, continue reading fantasy books. If you love a good mystery or cold case, read those types of books. A lot of the times there is so much hype around certain books that are out there, and I feel sometimes we have this fear of missing out, and we pick up things that might not generally interest us. But I'm just here to say that it's okay if you do not read every single top-selling, hyped book up at the time. If it is not in a genre that you are going to enjoy, don't pick it up. I personally do not like reading horror, gore, thriller, those types of things. So even if books are super duper popular, I just know that's not my cup of tea, so I'm not going to waste my time reading those types of things. That being said, be a mood reader. If you like fantasy books, it's okay to pick up a mystery book if you're kind of burned out on fantasy books. It is totally okay. So jump around with whatever your mood is entailing. I find that I love fantasy books in the fall and winter months, but then once spring and summer comes, I kind of like to dip my toes into classics and contemporary books, and having a wide variety and not completely closing yourself off to one type of book or genre, I think is super duper helpful. Also, along the lines of read what interests you, it is okay to put a book down and DNF it. DNF means do not finish. If a book is not keeping your interest, if you are dragging your feet while you're reading it, and it just seems like you're having the worst time reading that book, it is okay to put it down and stop reading it. I personally have a really hard time DNFing books, but I'm really trying to work on that because life is too short. There are too many good books out there that you will actually enjoy reading. So it's okay to stop reading a book if you are not having a good time. If you need to give yourself permission to quit reading books, make this your sign to quit reading books that you are not enjoying, because that is just going to make reading a chore and you are going to hate it. You're going to spend weeks reading one single book when you could have been reading things that you are actually interested in. My next tip is to either create goals or a TBR, to be read shelf. Some people absolutely hate creating goals. Some people love goals. I personally love the Goodreads app. I go on there, I set a yearly goal, and I track the books that I'm reading, when I'm reading them, and I can see where I'm falling in my goal schedule for the year. Some people love that, some people hate that. If you hate goal setting, I would recommend just creating a to be read shelf or a stack of possibilities. So what you can do is just put a stack of books or write a list if you are an e-book person. The next 5 to 10 books that you are really excited about reading, and just pick from that list if you're in the mood for those books. And most of the time I find when I have like a monthly list of books that I'm really excited to read, I actually do power through most of those books. So setting some type of goal or possibility list of reads for your upcoming reading endeavors, I do find that that is really helpful in keeping you motivated to read and excited about reading. The next tip is to find reading community. That is one of the reasons that I have created this BookTube channel, because I am a huge reader. I have a few readers in my life, but I would love to find more readers that read the same types of books that I do so we can talk about them together. I do have a Bookstagram at Kay's Library on Instagram, and I'm honestly horrible at posting on there. I personally am excited about BookTube because I think it's so much easier for me to convey what I want to say using my actual voice than just typing in a post. So find a reading community, whether that's on Bookstagram, BookTube, on Threads, Instagram Threads, on Facebook. There are so many places where you can find a community online, but also try checking in your local area for any book clubs, maybe your library or your local bookstore, or start your own book club with some friends that maybe want to get into reading or already readers. I definitely think that there are ways to create reading community that also keeps you excited to continue reading. The next tip is to do reading sprints. So I guess this kind of falls back into that first point, to read in pockets of time, but this falls in reading in pockets of time, but also reading community. On BookTube, there's a lot of booktubers that have Patreons and Discords, and they actually go live on their YouTube channels and they just sprint, where they're reading for 15 minutes, chatting for 15 minutes, reading for 30 minutes, chatting for 15 minutes. And I personally love joining live sprints because it definitely makes me feel like I am a part of a community. I have a set goal within that 15-30 minutes to read, but then I can just chit chat with some friends about the book that I'm reading, which is just incredible in my opinion. This next tip is honestly kind of silly and more of a reminder for myself, but if you have a eyeglasses prescription, read your glasses when you're reading. It honestly makes such a big difference, and I know this is kind of like a very silly point, but I know there are lots of other people like me that are horrible and do not wear their glasses. But when I wear my glasses and I'm reading, it honestly just helps reading because it's so much clearer and not fuzzy and which makes sense. But this is just your friendly reminder that if you wear glasses, wear your darn glasses when you're reading if you're not going to wear them at any other time, because it really does make it a lot easier to focus. And the final and biggest tip that has helped me within my reading journey is to set screen time limits on my phone and to set downtime on my phone. I am a serial scroller. I know there are lots of other people that are serial scrollers. You can scroll for an hour or two and realize that you just wasted so much time just scrolling, and you come out of that, your brain feels like a fog, you feel overwhelmed and like you just had been info dumped by all this information you were just scrolling through. I personally like the experience of when I've been reading for an hour versus when I've been scrolling for an hour. My brain is fried when I'm scrolling for an hour, and I feel relaxed when I've been reading for an hour. On my iPhone, I have set time limits. Instagram and Facebook, I'm allowed 10 minutes a day. YouTube, I'm allowed 45 minutes. Go through the apps that are your biggest time sucks and set time restrictions on them and stick to them. And then at the end of the day, at 8:30 p.m. for me, my phone goes into downtime mode, which is where I do not get any notifications from anybody but a select group of people, and all of my apps I'm pretty much locked out of unless it is a reading app. I have left my Kindle, Everand, Audible, Libby, Goodreads, all of those types of book apps I have allowed to be available to me within downtime, because that encourages me to then spend my time reading on the apps that I'm not locked out of. And that has definitely made the biggest difference in my reading time and reading journey. Whether you are wanting to read more just to get away from the daily hustle of constant flows of information, or you're just wanting to learn and experience more through other people's stories, regardless of the reason of why you're trying to read more, I think we can all agree that reading is a very beneficial part of life. And I hope that you found some tips in this video that may help you accomplish your reading goals a little bit more this year. So that concludes my video on some reading tips on how to read more. I hope that you guys have a very blessed day, and I will see you next week. Do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you so much.